A little tardier than maybe we would have liked, but we are here. We are going to fulfill our promise, making picks for Week 17. Producer Evan, with what appears to be a very festive backdrop behind him, back on the East Coast. Me in the home office here. Producer Evan, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Good. Happy to be on the air with you. And, from different location for us. So everybody kind of gets to peel back the curtain and really see what it looks like for us at home.
It is weird to do this. Normally, like when we have the stream working and I see you on the stream, I can just look to my right and you're there. If I look to my right, like there's my windows here. It's very
for the first time, I'm not going to be able to doing this the whole time we're on the
show. We were talking in the pre-show, and I'm sure as people file in here, we'll talk some Cardinals for a little bit. We'll talk some Suns for a little bit. We're not doing a full-blown show. We're just hanging out here on YouTube for a little bit. And the main reason why we're here is we got to make our picks for Week 17 for the pick contest. I believe you are still in front. By the way, shout out to our guy last week, whose information I don't have in front of me. I think his name was Ryan. Perfect week. So our second perfect week in a
3
row.
weeks. We went perfect into Brian's
that's right.
disaster into another Ryan perfect.
That would have been tough for Brian if he was sandwiched in between two perfect weeks. I mean, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that he only got the 1 point, but if he had an offer and he got sandwiched between two perfect weeks, he would have never heard the end of it. Okay, so I said to you in the pre-show, I'm kind of glad we didn't do this on Wednesday because I would have made some picks on Thursday that would have not gone my way. So I'm glad that we waited until all of this. Now, I'm still in front by a point after last week, correct? I believe.
Correct.
That means you have to go first.
That does mean I have to go first.
Oh, I see some numbers. I gave another quick perusal this morning. I see some numbers. I see some totals that I love. Just love.
I got to tell you, there's like totals numbers I like. All right, I'm going. My 1 point play. I'm starting tomorrow. Where else would I be other than LA? I'm taking the Texans plus the 1.5 on the road in LA, taking on the Chargers. It's a trap game for the Chargers.
My guy took the Chargers last week. It was like, I got to undo that this week. I got to go back. I got to cleanse my palate. I got to wipe my hands of the whole Chargers experience.
I got to let everybody know that I'm still not all in on the Chargers. I took them for what they were. I knew they were going to beat the Cowboys, but I'm not in. I'm going Houston plus the 1.5 in LA. My 2 point play. If it ain't broke, don't fix it for me. I'm going to go the Panthers at home plus the 7 against Seattle.
Oh, I saw the spread, and I considered to myself doing it, taking the other side of this. I'm not touching this game at all, but there was part of me that's like, all right, I think this is a number too big for you to take. You're right in there at 2 points, Panthers.
Right in there. And my 3 point play. I went back and forth on my 3 point play. Well, you say that. No, that's not true. I went back on forth on the last play, which I liked the total number in Baltimore Green Bay.
39.5.
39.5. Anytime you see that, you get pretty jumpy. I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to take the Bears on the road in San Francisco plus the 3 against the Honda Civic.
Guy sees the Honda Civic in the driveway back. He's probably seen a bunch of them driving back on the East Coast. He says, I don't care. Give me the Bears plus the 3. Wow.
You know, you see the Bears plus the 3, and you look at their quarterback, and he's flashy. You get all the flash there.
I haven't looked in a while.
Always get that in San Francisco. Maybe I'm falling for it. But to recap, my 1 point play, Texans plus the 1.5 on the road. My 2 point, Panthers plus 7 at home against Seattle. And my 3 point play, Bears plus a field goal on the road in San Francisco.
By the way, for those of you keeping track at home, Caleb Williams live update, under 58% of his passes completed, 57.8 on the season. Just so we're clear, it's going down. Since we mentioned it on the air, it's gone in the opposite direction. He was under 60 when I first brought this up on the air. It's gone backwards. He's at 57.8.
Yeah, so. But you watched last Saturday's game. Game time.
Listen, when the lights were brightest, he did come up with 2 big throws. In fairness to him, he did come up with 2 big throws. I will just an overall thought here, and since we're not under the constraints of like a 12-minute segment, we can kind of dive into a little of this more. Did you notice how many spreads how many totals this week are under 40? It's like 5.
So many.
Both games tomorrow, both games on Saturday. The Steelers-Browns is under 40.
30,
Saints
that one's 34.5.
Yeah, that one's a disrespect to the entire sport at 34.5. 39.5 in Saints-Titans. I thought there was another one under 40. No, there's not. There's like one at like 41.5. I thought I saw.
Yeah, the
40.
Giants-Raiders
The tank off for the number 1 pick is at 41.5 between the Giants and the Raiders. Talk about a game that I'm staying as far away from as humanly possible. It's that game because you see today teams, they're already saying Brock Bowers placed on IR. Giants said there's like 3 or 4 guys not playing. It's a who can tank harder game there between the Giants and the Raiders. Okay. My 1-point play. You said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Give me any team that plays the Cardinals. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals minus the 7.5 against the Cardinals. And we'll touch on them here in a little bit after we make the picks. But it was another ugly performance. They hung in the game longer than normal last week against Atlanta. But you saw how it ended. Ended the same way all these games are ending, where the offense isn't doing enough and the defense just caves late in the second half. So on the road against Cincinnati, against Joe Burrow, Jacoby Brissett going to be without Paris Johnson Jr. yet again. Injuries all over the place. I think Joe Burrow is going to carve that defense up, and I need him to win by 10 points. I think they do that pretty comfortably because, again, last week was the most competitive the Cardinals have played in a little bit. They lost 26-19. So they lost by, 7? I would lose on the hook here if that's what it ended up being, but I think Cincinnati offensively is a better team than Atlanta. So I like them minus the 7.5. What is my other rule? I've never met a big spread I don't like. Brady Cook starting once again for the New York Jets. Give me the Patriots minus the 13.5 in New York, or in New Jersey, I should say. East Rutherford taking on the Jets. Look, the Patriots need this game. They're battling not only to hold on for the AFC East, but they're also battling to be the 1 seed in the AFC, which is going to be vitally important with how the top part of this conference stacks up. And the Jets want to lose this game. I know they're going to go out there and try. I know Aaron Glenn and company are going to try. They want to lose this game because they want the number 1 overall pick. They want to take a quarterback. So they're, Mason Taylor, they're one of their top targets on offense. They shut down Garrett Wilson this week. Like, they are Brady Cook starting. It's a turnover machine, his first 2 starts in the NFL. So it's just, this is a game where I know it's 2 touchdowns. I know it's a big number, but I don't think the Jets have enough on offense to keep themselves in this game. And New England needs this game. And I think they're going to want this game to be convincing so that maybe they can call off the dogs in the fourth quarter, get some guys some rest ahead of what's going to be a very important Week 18 matchup. So my 1-point play, I'm sticking with the bread and butter, taking anybody against the Cardinals. My 2-point play, a spread that there's never a spread large enough for me that I will ignore. So I've got the Patriots minus the 13.5. And I'll tell you right now, I contemplated 3 things for my 3-point play. I contemplated Seahawks minus the 7, just because I knew it would poke at you. But now knowing that you took them as your 2-point play, do I really want that to be a 5-point game? I'm not sure if I want that much on the line. So I thought about that game. I thought about taking the Honda Civic for certain. The Honda Civic, nothing I love more than taking the Honda Civic. But you are on the other side of that game. So do I want that to be a high stakes affair this late in the process? So now I'm kind of on my heels a little bit here with my 2 plays. So I may go off the board here and take a game that I put to the side. And I was like, I'll come back to this if need be. Give me the Bucks minus the 5.5 against the Dolphins.
I thought about that game. I thought about it because it's such a need for the Bucks. They've been playing such bad football, but they need it.
I think for me, in these last 2 weeks of the season, and in general, I think this is a good rule of thumb when you're betting early on in the season, but more importantly, late in the season. I got to know what the incentives are for both teams. And this is a matchup where the incentives are so rich for Tampa and the incentives are non-existent for Miami. And this spread being less than a touchdown for a team that absolutely needs the game. Yes, I know it's on the road. Yes, I know they didn't play great against Carolina last week, but Miami's not a good football team. And I just think Tampa needs this game. You're not traveling far, right? You got to have Christmas at home. Even though you're traveling on the road, you got to be with family. You're going from you're in Tampa, you're going to Miami. Yeah, it's a quick little bus ride, right? It's going to be a plane ride, but it's a quick bus ride. So to me, I don't worry about it being on the road. I don't worry about the weather being a problem. I don't worry about any of it. I just think the Bucs go on the road and they win. So that'll be my 3-point play. All right, you want to talk about the Cardinals since we didn't get to do a show this week? I don't know your thoughts. We haven't talked a lot of football.
We haven't talked about it at all, but I mean, same movie, right? When we're watching the same things go on. And it's at the point where, and we had said it on Thursday's show, on Wednesday's show, it felt as if that was probably the last game that felt winnable for the Cardinals all the way through the rest of the year. And for them to come out and play really a pretty good first quarter. I thought they looked efficient offensively in the first quarter. They came out of that. And I was like, hey, maybe they got something going here. And it kind of felt like, again, you just came up short in the back half and you had one good series and then you fell stagnant. And so offensively in the second half, you put up 3 points. Outside of the first quarter, you put up 9 points in the game. You lost 26-19. And in the fourth quarter, right there again, with a chance to win the game, and you couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I said it on Friday's show, the last show that we did before the holiday break, that this Atlanta team, they hadn't scored 30 points since the fourth week of the season. So defensively, like, this was supposed to be your get-right performance. And I think in some ways it was. They only allowed the 26 points. So they checked that box despite all the injuries piling up for them. And they lost Walter Nolan to injured reserve, and that could linger into next year. Garrett Williams with his Achilles, that's going to linger into next year. And so these games, they don't maybe matter in terms of, winning to get into the postseason, but you now have 2 injuries last week that could affect you long-term. And I thought your defense did well enough, all things considered, but offensively, they just couldn't do anything in the second half. They scored 3 points, and they ran the ball, I would say, pretty well considering their offensive line is a mess and they don't have either of their 2 top backs. They average 5.7 yards a carry, but Marv's back in the lineup, 3 targets, only makes 1 catch. You sent me a message at one point. He drops a touchdown that, I'm sorry, he should just catch.
Yeah, I sent it to you. I just said, I think there's 50 receivers in the league that catch that.
Yeah, and he should be one of those 50.
Overall, you have to be one of those 50. That's how it is. Maybe that's an unfair pressure to put on a young receiver, but we're talking about a second-year guy who you spend a number 4 pick on. You need to come down with that.
And I will say this, I don't expect the Cardinals to win many games when they're a leading receiver, no offense, is Elijah Higgins, right?
No.
Trey McBride, 4 catches for 27 yards. Yes, he got 8 targets, but we didn't do anything with him. Michael Wilson, yes, he caught the touchdown, but 3 targets, 2 catches. Marvin Harrison Jr., only 3 targets. This goes back to the conversation we've been having about the offense and the structure moving forward, and will there need to be a coaching change? You are not going to win games this way. You're down your top 2 running back options for the majority of the season. You're getting Marv back. You have Michael Wilson, who's emerged here as of late. You have probably the best tight end in the sport in Trey McBride. And those 3 guys combined, let me do some quick math here, 7 catches for barely over 100 yards and a touchdown. Those 3 guys, there just needs to be more than that. And unfortunately, the defense, I think, for once did its job here as of late. The offense couldn't hold up its end of the bargain. So when it's not one thing, it's another for this team. And they're 3-12 now. I don't think they're going to win either of the last 2 weeks of the season. They've lost 7 games in a row. It just keeps getting bad from worse. And, the defense kept it close and you didn't lose by 20. You didn't give up 40 points, but it's another loss. And these losses just keep stacking and these losses just keep getting more and more brutal to get through because you're starting to get the sense that they're just going to run this back. I mean, you have national reporters saying that's Ian Rappaport saying that he would lean towards them running it back with the head coach and the GM. And it's then these results don't matter.
Not once this year have you gotten a complete football game in complementary football, right? So this week, the offense was completely stagnant, right? They scored on kind of a miracle play to Michael Wilson. And then in the other side of it, defense played really well. You put up 19 points on, pretty much a Hail Mary touchdown. And you come back and the defense can't play well or does play well. So you haven't had that complementary football game all year long. And when it comes down to a game on the line, you've been terrible. Flat out, you've been terrible. And you have a team here who, let's face it, outside of the 2 wins to start the year, which both of those could have gone flipped, has played 1 good football game in 15 weeks.
Well, 1 good complete football game because, you can make the argument they played a great game against Tennessee, lost it in the fourth quarter, played a great 3 quarters against Indy, lost that one in the fourth quarter, a great 3 quarters against Green Bay. I mean, at the time losing to Indy, that was one of the best teams in football. You had them on the ropes. Green Bay is probably going to go to the postseason, could make a run in the postseason in January, in February. You had them on the ropes. You let those ones slip away. And I was critical of it at the time because you just have to learn how to win. but I could accept that because you're playing competitive football. And then they beat the Cowboys, and you're starting to think, okay, some close losses, yes, but they won this game. Maybe they can go on a run. And then you get embarrassed by Seattle. You get embarrassed by San Francisco. You play 2 close games, but lose those against Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. So we're right back to where we were before the bye week. And then it's embarrassments against Houston and against LA. And it may look different week to week to week. And there are some central themes that pop up. But in general, you're just watching a bad football team. And bad football teams find ways to lose. They find ways to, no matter what, they end up with the L next to their name at the end of the day, and that's what the Cardinals are at this point.
And there's a good chance that Week 18 game is going to mean something for the Rams. This is a team that, outside of the last first 2 weeks, could go 1-15 1-14 the rest of the way. That's the kind of conversation we're having. This is a 1-14 football team in the last 15 weeks of the year.
Just unacceptable, yet it just accountability doesn't appear to be on the horizon. And I think that is more frustrating, I think, to many than the actual results on the football field. I think what is more frustrating is that there will not be any accountability at the end of the season for this, or if there is accountability, it's not going to be the accountability that people think needs to exist. All right, let's end on a good note. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns. Picked up a couple wins since we were last on the air. Beat the Lakers the other night. They start their 2-game little road trip against New Orleans. That's tonight. That game gets underway. 16-13, holding on to that 7th seed in the Western Conference, and just a young team that's battling through. Jalen Green going to get reevaluated in a couple of weeks, so don't expect him to be back anytime soon. So they're still dealing with being shorthanded. Yet they beat the Lakers, and they've just been a bad matchup for the Lakers all season long. They just have their number in so many ways. Played a close game but lost to the Warriors, beat the Warriors, so they split those games. And overall, I think what you are seeing right now is exactly what this team we all thought could be when we got to the end of the season, where they're going to beat some teams like the Warriors and the Lakers. They're going to lose sometimes to them because at the end of the day, they're a middle-of-the-road basketball teams trying to find their footing, trying to find their new core, their new foundation. And so with that comes bumps in the road. And I think losing to the Thunder, losing to the Lakers, losing to the Warriors 3 of 4, I think those are parts of the bump. But here we are. They bounce back. Nice win against the Lakers, and they're sitting still in that 7th seed in the Western Conference, which I think is very much in front of them as their ceiling, potentially even the 6th seed. They're 2.5 back of Minnesota. And so you feel good. You feel good about where this team is at. You feel good about what these next 2 games against New Orleans could provide. I know New Orleans is playing better as of late, but you are watching what I think everybody thought this team could be. They got off to a quicker start than we anticipated, but I think we're now settling into there's going to be some bumps in the road. It's not all going to go swimmingly. It's not all going to be pretty, but at the end of the day, the Suns are going to be able to beat a lot of basketball teams and get into the win column.
Yeah, and I think you look at this next 3 games for the Suns. You're in New Orleans, in Washington. That's a stretch where we've seen them play well against some of the weaker teams in either conference. And so if they're able to take advantage again, we're talking about a team that has 19 wins before the end of the year. And that was something we kind of scoffed at. Like, wow, wouldn't that be awesome for our over? And laughed at. But this is a team that went in and wire to wire handled the Lakers. A 132-108 win. And, close first quarter. You win the first quarter. That was a problem they had early. Could you come out of the gates? But they've seemingly addressed that, and they're winning first quarters. They extend on it in the second and pull away on the third, and then it's never a game. That was the first time in a long time. Last year you never see them put a team away like that. You never saw them. Hey, we're up 8 at half. We come out, we extend the lead in the third quarter and play what feels like a meaningless fourth quarter. That was what this team is about this year. And so it's exciting to see you can handle the Lakers and you're going to be able to beat, some of the teams that you need to beat and should beat to compete in the NBA. This is a real playoff basketball team. And I think when you watch them, you get that feel because I've seen them win games 132-108. I've seen them play overtime games where it's in the 140s. And I've seen them win games like they did last week against the Warriors, 99-98, where they became the 17-18 Spurs and Utah Jazz.
They were 9-6 back on November 18th, and they played Minnesota, San Antonio, Houston, Sacramento, Oklahoma City, Denver, the Lakers, Houston, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Lakers, 2 against Golden State and against the Lakers. It's a tough schedule against some really good teams. They went 7-7. They're 16-13 right now. You can't ask it from this team. This is not the Nuggets. This isn't the Thunder. This isn't the Timber. They're not the elite. This is not the Knicks or the Pistons. This is not where this team's supposed to be. And they're handling the business in a way that makes you comfortable that they're on the right track. And to wrap a bow on this, 4 games left this month, 4 games left in the calendar year. We said on the program, can you get to 19? They win 3 of 4. They win 2 against New Orleans, against Washington. They get to 19. They get exactly to where we said they could get to a couple of weeks ago on the program. To wrap, Kenny Dillingham remaining the ASU head coach. We're going to celebrate that. We said that when we got back on the air, 2 things were going to happen. We were going to have some conclusion to the Kenny Dillingham saga, and I predicted that Ketel Marte would get traded. Well, we got our conclusion to the Kenny Dillingham saga. He is remaining with I have 3 more days to see if a Ketel Marte trade will happen. We'll see. I still expect it to, but we'll see what the weekend has to hold. We are back, regularly scheduled time slot, 11 to 1, the KDUS AM 1060 right here on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. Producer Evan will be back in the fold. 2 hours. We'll go through everything from the football weekend. We'll talk more about Kenny Dillingham. We'll talk more about these Phoenix Suns. But we promised you that we would come on and make our picks. We wanted to do that and share some thoughts on some of the stuff that's happened here this week. Hope everyone had a great, safe, happy holiday season. Enjoy the rest of the time off if you are off today and have the rest of the weekend off. And we will talk to you all on Monday.
See ya.